What's up, everybody? Hey, Tom Laird here, host of the Advice from a Call Center Geek podcast and founder of Expivia. For exceptional contact center outsourcing, trust Expivia. We're fully AI-driven, as all of you know, and can handle voice, email, chat, and all of your digital channels. Our 600-seat USA contact center is expert in healthcare, financial services, insurance, tech support, retail, and more. Experts on the NICE CX1 platform, we ensure seamless customer experiences. DM me or visit expiviausa.com for more.
This is Advice from a Call Center Geek, a weekly podcast with a focus on all things call center. We'll cover it all from call center operations, hiring, culture, technology, and education. We're here to give you actionable items to improve the quality of yours and your customers' experience. This is an evolving industry with creative minds and ambitious people like this guy. Not only is his passion call center operations, but he's our host. He's the CEO of Expivia Interaction Marketing Group and the Call Center Geek himself, Tom Laird.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode 87. Who would have thought that? Of Advice from a Call Center Geek, the call center and contact center podcast, where we're trying to give you some actionable items, right? We're staying away from theories and what people may think, but trying to give you some actionable plays to take into your contact center, improve your agent experience, improve the quality. And the whole point of this is to improve the customer experience as well. How's everybody doing? My name is Tom Laird. I am the CEO of Expivia Interaction Marketing. We're a 500 plus seat call center outsourcer located here in beautiful fall Erie, Pennsylvania. Well, as I talk to you guys here, it's 10/16/2020, so it's October 16th. It's a beautiful fall Friday. I've had just an amazing week this week of we've had a ton of RFPs and a ton of things that we're bidding on, and to be able to talk to a bunch of potential clients and had a couple client reviews, and I that's what I really love. I love the operations side. I love talking to clients and kind of feeling the vibe of kind of how they're seeing things going, seeing how the industry's going. So it's kind of cool to take a breath, do a podcast episode, be able to talk to you guys here on a Friday. Pretty cool. I have a funny story for you, and I want to thank so many of you that kind of took part of this. If you guys didn't know, or if you weren't aware, I did a webinar on, actually yesterday was Thursday, and I had a bunch of you guys text me afterwards to say, hey, we just wanted to, Tom, let you know that we represented the Geek Nation. So, I really appreciate that. I guess, some of you are kind of, we're rolling with that kind of Geek Nation kind of deal, which is pretty cool. So I appreciate you guys that are following and listening to me when I go on some webinars or some other podcasts. It does mean the world to me that we're actually trying to add some value, and you guys, I think, are seeing some of the value in some of the things that we're doing, and hopefully you're improving your operation, and we can have a small piece of that. So for you guys to kind of reach out in that way and kind of, I had a couple text messages, and I had a couple from the community, and I had a couple DMs on LinkedIn. So pretty cool. So thank you guys so much for the love that you guys have been given and kind of the respect back that hopefully, we're trying to earn from all of you guys out there. So today, what I wanted to talk to you on the podcast is something that I've steered away from because I thought it was closer to selling, right? And I don't want to sell it all on this thing. I want to just provide value and provide, ways to improve your call center. But, there's actually, I'm not going to use her last name, but Lindsay and a couple other people, there's been 3 or 4 people that have, ask some questions on, hey, Tom, we're thinking of outsourcing. Can you give us some advice on, how to manage the partner, right? How should that relationship work? What are some things that we should look out for? What are some things we should implement? And how should that relationship go? So what I wanted to kind of do today on the podcast is I've talked to all of my client services managers and kind of gotten some input from them. Obviously, I have a lot of experience in this, but it was kind of nice to hear from some of them as well on some of their tips on making these relationships really work well. So this is kind of our episode here, and we'll do a blog post and kind of do some written work on this too, on on how to really maintain or I guess start and maintain a really good vendor relationship when you're looking to outsource the call center or your call center operations, because it's scary, right? You know, a lot of you, I know you feel like you're giving up power, or you're giving up, the experience that your customers are going to receive to a third party. So it's really important that you manage that relationship well, and that partnership really becomes a partnership, right? So that's my number one tip. And I'm not going to count these down or tick them off because I have a bunch of them. And every time I try to do this live, I look at my notes and I'm like, oh, was I on 4? Was I on 5? I always screw up the counts. So I'm just going to, in no particular order, I want to give you guys some things that I think can help when you're looking to outsource or how to handle that partner relationship. Is number one is, guys, you can't treat us, and I'm going to say myself, in my industry, the BPO industry, you can't treat us like a vendor, right? It's too important of a relationship, right? This isn't a software vendor that you're buying a piece of software from. This is someone who's speaking to your customers. There has to be a give and take and an ebb and flow to the relationship. You really have to treat them as a partner or as an extension of your business. If you're going to go in there with a kind of the stick mentality, right? Where if they screw up or they make a mistake or you don't like something, you're going to come down on them hard. That relationship or that partnership's not going to work, right? So there has to be some give and take, and it's a little bit of a different relationship than a vendor client relationship. It's got to be more than that to be successful. You know, when it was pre-COVID, you need to go visit them. They need to visit you. You need to go out to dinner. You need to develop a relationship that's on a human level beyond a little bit of just that vendor relationship. You know, you can keep it professional, and that's totally fine. But it should form, if you're picking the right vendor, into a business friendship, right? Not a personal friendship, but a business friendship. And if you can get to that, that's the kind of the core of this. So I want to start with this because I think a lot of the things I'm going to talk about are going to build up to how to get to that point. But that needs to be at least the mentality that you have going into the relationship. It's difficult. It's more difficult of a relationship when we deal with larger clients, right? Larger clients have procurement agents, and they have, vendor managers, and they're kind of more of a hands-off deal. And you need to work that a little bit more. And I'm talking you, meaning the call center operator, the BPO. Smaller organizations, I don't want to say are better, but they're maybe a little bit more fun or a little bit easier to work with, right? Because they might have that I don't want to say mom and pop relationship, but they have a little bit of a more of a tender side, if that makes sense, right? So you can kind of get to that partnership level quicker than we can with a larger organization. But when you can get, speaking again for myself, when my company can get to a partnership relationship for a really large organization, which we do all the time, that's when really special things can happen. And it's a really cool thing. But all right, so let me give you some other kind of tips now that I've kind of pontificated on that, but I just think that's the core of this. Is number one is you need to be part of the initial training, right? So make sure that you and your team are doing the training with the BPO for that first group of agents. Now, let's say you're going to onboard 180 agents or 200 agents. I'm not saying you got to onboard every class, but you need to be a part of that first 3 or 4 classes. So, we can do a train the trainer model. That's important. You should do a train the trainer, but still be a part of that initial couple classes coming out. Pre-COVID, we would say we want you on site as well for the launch. I think it's important as much as you can be a part of the launch, whether that is now being on an IM or a video call with all the reps right before you go live. Being a part of that is really important. So I think the client should be a part of the relationship and really lead the training, lead that launch with the BPO partner at the beginning. Now, you don't have time and you pay the BPO partner to kind of take it from there, right? So those trainers, those dedicated trainers should be able to then take that baton and train the next classes or any type of attrition training that's going to happen. They should be able to deal with it. And maybe they want to bring you in to do an introduction, which I think is really important. Those kind of things, so that the reps should always be able to put a face right with the client, right? They should be able to at least know who you are. So you don't want to be really standoffish where you're just dealing with, a client services manager, but you want to have your hand a little bit into that training, know who the reps are, know who the names are. You want to make sure that there's one point of contact for your BPO partner, right? So you want to have at least a client services manager that we call it our lead, and then we have a backup. And that's kind of what you want, right? So you don't want to have to talk to somebody else if you have a production issue, and talk to one else in the organization if there's an IT issue. And if you have a rep issue, you go to this person. You don't want to do any of that. Some organizations do that. Some of the big call centers will make you like put a trouble ticket in, right? And then they'll kind of get to it. Like, you don't want any of that. So make sure when you're dealing with a partner that you have a kind of one point of contact, that person that you can form that relationship with, that you can pick the phone up, that has a 15-minute to 30-minute SLA to anything that you have if you send an email, which is another kind of the next tip, is make sure that, again, we don't want to micromanage our BPO partner, but at least understand that there's going to be a 15 to 30-minute SLA if you send something, right? If you send an email, there's going to be a response to you within 15 minutes. That phone should be always picked up, and if there's not, if the client services manager with your partner is on the phone, right, which is going to happen a lot, that, within a 15 to 20 minute window, you're going to get a phone call back. So set those parameters early. I'm not saying you got to do it in a contract, but there should be a understanding and a conversation that says, hey, if I call you, I need a call back within 30 minutes. And most BPO partners will kill that time, right? They'll do it way before that if they don't answer it or roll right to a secondary person. But just, that's something to kind of think about. You want to do weekly calibration sessions, right? I think it should be weekly. Some people go bi-weekly, but I think it's important to at least once a week sit down and either, whether it be recorded or live calls, and have a calibration session with your team and the BPO partner, so that you guys are on the same page, so that when you're going to get a report and you're going to get a QA report that a 90 is a 90, and you feel comfortable that 90 is for real, right? If you don't do calibration sessions, they can be all over the map. What you think is a 90, maybe the partner thinks is a 78, or what you think is a 78, the partner thinks is a 92, right? So there can be issues there that you need to make sure that you're scoring things in the same mentality, in the same way, so that you're feeling very comfortable that their culture and what they're doing from a QA standpoint is the same thing that you guys would do internally. Another tip, I think, is to make sure that there is an issues or an escalation process. Now, I'm not talking about if there's a call that needs to be escalated to your call center, maybe internally, because you might do tier 2 or tier 3. I'm talking about if there is a rep issue, right? Because it's going to happen. It's going to happen in your internal call center. So if a rep just loses it, or if there's maybe it's not the rep, but it's a caller who's irate and who's using foul language, and it's just that one-off call that something's going on there that needs to get to the client, you need to have a process for that within a certain amount of time, whether it's 12 hours or 24 hours. There needs to be a whole written procedure on what happened that needs to be sent to the client, sent to you, so that you guys can be on top of things, right? You want to make sure that your partner, if they make a mistake, right, they should be able to feel comfortable to come to you. This is a really important piece. If you treat someone like a vendor, then they're going to hide things from you because they're going to be afraid of you. You don't want your call center partner to be afraid of you. You want to have an open relationship. So when a mistake does happen, they're going to be able to bring that to you, understand that we're going to work through it together. If a rep needs to be let go or fired or whatever needs to happen, that's going to happen, right? But we're going to work through that thing together. And they know you are not going to come down on them and pull the program or fine them or do those types of things that a partnership really doesn't involve. So I think that's a really, really key thing. On top of the escalation, the correlation calls, you also want to have weekly status calls, right? Just a weekly catch up. Hey, I know we talk probably once a day, but let's take this half hour, talk about where service levels are going, talk about where handle time is, talk about anything that we're seeing from call volume standpoint. Do we need to add more reps? It's just kind of take a step back and let's do a weekend review and see really what's happening and if everything is status quo or if we need to make some adjustments. To take that to the next level, I would suggest that you have your BPO partner do a quarterly review. And in this quarterly review, you're going to talk about, again, things like, okay, we've seen a kind of a macro level rise in call volume. We may need to add headcount, or it might be the opposite. We've seen a drop in call volume. We might need to pull back some headcount or move some schedules around. Talk about quality as an overall number. Talk about agent sentiment, customer sentiment, speech analytics. You're taking a look at the program at a real macro level, not really digging down to the rep level, but seeing if any type of big changes might need to be coming in the next quarter, in the next 2 quarters. What's going to happen during the holidays? Do we need to start thinking about that? And really having a planning session that is more in depth than just a weekly call or those calls that maybe you have every day real quick just to kind of catch up on things. The other thing that I think has really turned important with the work from home is having an IM tool for the BPO partner that you can have a direct line to the supervisors, right? So that's for anything that is, quick information like, hey guys, we sent an email out. I forgot to tell you about that. You may be starting to get calls on this, right? Little things like that you want to get to the floor really quick. The client services manager at your partner should know that as well, but it's a way that you can have kind of a direct access to the floor. There's no reason anymore that, everything has to have a veil, right? Have kind of a firewall between you and the actual operation going on the floor. And you just have to deal with the client services manager. You still want to really keep that manager involved, but there's now access and you should have access to the floor. You can't hammer them with a lot of stuff, but this is for quick changes, quick things that you want to make sure to get out because, there could be some things that are going on. And really the last thing is you need to be flexible. You need to be flexible with the partner. Everybody has a plan to get punched in the face, right? That was a Mike Tyson quote. So you're going to outsource, you're going to deal, you have a forecast, you have a plan, you do training, and things are going to change and things are going to get hairy at some point. So just understand that the partner, if you chose the right one, is going to work and they're going to bend over backwards, right? To work for you, to get things to where they need to be. Just make sure that you're being flexible with them as well. I mean, I've been so lucky at my time here, in our previous call center, but especially here at Expivia. The clients that we have, they're unbelievable, right? They're great people. I've learned just as much from them, I think, as what they've gotten from us. And those relationships, they last through a COVID, right? They make a COVID happen because if you had a client that just was a pain in the rear and COVID happens and you have to go from brick and mortar to home, right? That client's going to start to be panicked. But those people that have bent over backwards for you, that have been awesome in that relationship, those are the ones that BPO partner is really going to service first. So you can be a jerk to the partner, right? And you can, be proud of how tough you are. But, when the rubber meets the road and things go wrong and you need some help, right? That's when you really want your BPO partner to be there for you. And the relationships really span that whole deal. So again, make sure that you're treating that as a partnership. I know I keep pounding on it. It's probably getting annoying in this podcast, but I can't say that enough. That's the number one reason why these relationships and why programs fail. It's just it's a lack of coordination and a lack of understanding and flexibility between the client and the BPO partner. So again, guys, that's kind of my rundown on that. I hope that helps. I hope that gives you some insights on the mentality of how you need to treat a BPO partner, but also on some of the things that you can do to protect yourself and some of the things that partner should be able to provide for you to make sure that the experience that you're having for your customers and for your organization works. All right. So thanks, guys. Real quick before I go, I want to just, again, a couple things. Please join our SMS texting community. It is blowing up. It's been awesome. I've been getting a ton of feedback. I'm giving exclusive content. It's a way for you guys to talk directly to me. I can help you in any way I possibly can. I don't charge anything for it. All you need to do is text Call Center to 814-247-0366. It'll get you all signed up. Anything I post, you're going to get. It's totally secure. Anything you post, no one sees other than me. Any questions, any comments, any issues you have, I've been able to help so many people. You know, we had a couple sessions this week where we had an hour-long session of you guys just being able to ask me questions, or there was a couple of community members who just had some questions they were new to the call center operations industry, and I was able to kind of guide a little bit. So anything I can help you guys with, I'm here for. Please let me know. Please hook me up on LinkedIn. Also, if you guys could please post some reviews on iTunes, I would really, really appreciate it. Thank you guys. It's Friday. Have a great weekend. I will talk to all you next week.